The Houston Museum of African American Culture was the dream of Mayor Lee Brown back in 2000. He wanted a home for our unique arts, history, and culture, and he enlisted many of our community leaders to help him. But it took years to find that home. Then John Guess and the HMAAC board discovered a building on Caroline and Wentworth.
So I remember coming to this very building where there was nothing in it. I mean, just piping and the structure. And now to see this beautiful exhibit and all of the exhibits that have come, it has just been remarkable.
John didn't have any money, right? But he wanted the building. Convinced the owner that this was what the building should be used for, convinced the owner to cut the price, and convinced the owner to owner finance. That took a lot of work, and I got to tell you, that's, it's one thing to talk about doing something. It's an entirely different story to do it.
The official ribbon cutting brought together everyone from elected officials to neighbors to art lovers eager for a place of their own. The first staff took on the monumental job of turning this former office building into a real museum. The task picked up speed as HMAAC found its footing, from powerful exhibits inside the building to powerful performances outside. Nationally known names like actress Sarah Jones to poet laureate Rita Dove to writer and political pundit Wes Moore, all challenging our understanding of what makes a museum.
John had this idea that you should have an African American museum of culture. Not a stagnant museum, but a dynamic museum. And that's very different from most of the museums anywhere, and including in this city.
When we started, we really carved a new kind of museum out of an older vision. And I think that's a little bit harder than just creating one from the ground, right? And he was able to do that and to keep us on the path.
That new kind of museum took us to McGregor Park to host the Slab Car Parade, merging art, hip-hop, and America's favorite passion, cars.
Because we really wanted to talk about the part of the hip-hop culture that's influenced people around the world that really comes from Houston. Really comes from Houston, and Slab is that. It originated here. It's an original art form from here that's gone all over the country.
We hosted great debates and talked to the greatest debater of all, Dr. Thomas Freeman. We learned about the sophisticated culture of Afropolitans. We hosted lovely lunches in our home and gorgeous galas at the Ensemble Theater. Our new vision of a museum meant our art wasn't just up on the walls. We even took it to the streets.
I've seen music. I've heard music at HMAAC. We've danced at HMAAC. We've started to take even HMAAC out of its facility and do things in the community. So we did a collaboration in Third Ward I was very proud of that.
A lot of museums give you things to look at. This museum gets you things to interact with.
We watched so many brilliant films, loving directors like Ava DuVernay before she became a household name.
It has just been an incredible feat that he's been able to accomplish, to get the museum open, keep it going, get it staffed up, have wonderful, exciting exhibitions to come to and other programs, the films, to connect to regional artists as well as national artists, and it's phenomenal.
And oh, the art we've brought to our city, like the magnificent collections of two artistic dynasties, African American art and artifacts like we've never seen before from Bernard and Shirley Kinsey, and legendary works from famous black painters shared by Harmon and Harriet Kelly.
I enjoy working with John. I see him as a person who has a lot of energy, has a vision, and knows how to get there. And I think he has been a valuable asset for HMAAC.
We hosted artists from every walk of life, African Americans, Latinos, women of every shade, even the art of the spoken word.
We collaborated on a project called the Deaf Poetry Reunion and brought it to Houston. It had a response that I had never seen before. 5,000 people from your city came out to see deaf poetry in the park. That's 5,000 people listening to poets talk about social issues, relevant things to the community. It was powerful. It was a really powerful thing.
We've shared giants in the art world like quilter Faith Ringgold in the Hamptons, to our patron saint right here at home, the late, great Burt Long. And the one thread that runs through it all? Longtime CEO John Guess.
And I think he's brilliant. I think his vision in terms of programming is unparalleled. And we as a board have had to say, okay, that sounds good, and not really see it, but knowing that it's going to be incredible. And it always has been.
Yeah. We're extremely grateful to John. John has worked very, very hard. He's had to raise money, he's gone out in development, he's just worked extremely hard.
HMAAC is a dream come true for Houston. And Houston didn't always have a museum, and it was so timely, but we needed a warrior like John Guess to fight that battle and make it happen, and I'm really proud of him.
Where they say combative, I say fighter, because I've mentioned visionary and fearless and a fighter. And I think if you look at our history, just African Americans as a whole, those who made great change all held those characteristics.
Perhaps the word would not best be combative, but passionate. He's driven.
HMAAC is pivotal in our cultural community. I see it as a hub linking all of the different various cultural entities.
John's hard work, perseverance, tenacity, innovation and great ideas is a legacy that will long live beyond him and beyond all of us for the very special role that he played in bringing the Houston Museum of African American Culture to fruition in Houston with innovative programming, amazing exhibits, and also a strong connection to the fabric of diversity in Houston. The Museum of African American Culture is a museum that's for all Houstonians, and that's a big part of John Guess's legacy here.
I would say to John, you have fought some battles, you have taken some bruises, and you've done some bleeding, but please believe that you have left behind a major legacy, and Houston is a much better place because you came to the Houston Museum of African American Culture.
I believe that anything is possible for me and Urban Souls and what I do because I cross paths with John Guess.
The city is greatly appreciative, and you may not see it from person to person, but what you see are the numbers of people who come here because you've kept these doors open and you've continued to fill it with things that are worthy of being seen.
Congratulations. I mean, few people have achieved what you've achieved, and pat yourself on the back. And if I had a champagne glass, John, I'd toast you right now.